This is a stimulus update and daily news report. I have some big updates to share with you, and finally some big news regarding the timeline for the passing of the infrastructure and stimulus packages. So tomorrow, Monday, August 23rd, Nancy Pelosi and the House of Representatives are cutting their vacation short and heading to Congress to take up negotiations and start the voting process for both the Part 1 and Part 2 stimulus packages. So what's going on is Nancy Pelosi even gave a date of when she expects everything to be passed by. I'll give you the details on that. Bernie Sanders is talking about the reconciliation process and what it needs to move forward. I'll play a video clip from Bernie Sanders about that. The IRS put out an important announcement regarding the child tax credit. They added new features to the portal, and there's an August 30th deadline. I'll give you the details on that. We'll talk about the $8,000 adult check, which is also known as the earned income tax credit. I'll give you the latest details on that. We'll discuss this article right here. Another $2,000 COVID stimulus check. As Delta surges, so do calls for a fourth payment. And then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate these fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So got some big news here regarding the vaccines and lockdowns going on around the world. So the US FDA aims to give full approval to Pfizer vaccine on Monday, according to the New York Times. So that is tomorrow, Monday, August 23rd, of when they expect it to be fully approved by the FDA. They've been anticipating this for a while. Up until this point, it's just been authorized for emergency use only. But let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. With full FDA approval, do you think vaccination rates will go up, stay the same? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Now, what's going on this week? A lot of colleges started school, universities, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, and there's been a lot of problems going on. So Mississippi sees 20,000 students quarantine following the first week of school. So this is 20,000 students just in the state of Mississippi. That's a lot of kids. So what's happening is when you look at the number like 20,000 students that are on quarantine in any given week, that exceeds what we've experienced when we were at our previous peak for impact on the schools. So basically, this is the biggest that they've ever had, and this is just Mississippi. No other numbers came out in other states, but just first week of school, 20,000 under quarantine. Definitely puts a lot of stress for the parents as well, who are trying to work full-time jobs, and then they have to quarantine their kids for a couple of weeks. That's definitely a big problem right there. When we talk about lockdowns around the world, what's going on? So Sri Lanka announces lockdown as coronavirus cases surge. So Sri Lanka is a small country off of India. Then also Jamaica, lockdown imposed due to COVID-19 surge, Delta variant detected. So it looks like the Delta variant is just causing a bunch of lockdowns around the world. Hundreds arrested and fined during Australia lockdown protest. Australia has been having a lot of lockdowns as well. Huge protest of hundreds of people have been protesting against these lockdowns, as well as against the vaccine. And more than 250 people were protesting and arrested in Australia. So that's a big problem there. And then panic buying in Vietnam's largest city before tighter COVID-19 lockdowns. So Vietnam too, having their lockdowns. So let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. A lot of lockdowns happening around the country because of the Delta variant. As I mentioned in a previous video, the CDC is saying that the current vaccines don't fully protect against the Delta variant, which is the reason why we're having a huge amount of cases going on right now. Let me know your thoughts on this. Are things going to get worse? Do you think they're going to get better? Let me know your thoughts on what you think. Next, let's talk about the child tax credit. So the IRS put out an announcement a couple days ago. I didn't get a chance to mention it. So new update address feature available with IRS online portal. Make other changes by August 30th for September payment. So a lot of words here. I'm just going to sum it up right here. It says here in the IRS portal, what you could do now, what's available if you go onto the IRS website, go through the child tax credit portal, is you could switch from receiving a paper check to direct deposit, change the account account where their payment is direct deposited. So if you don't want paper checks and you want a direct deposit, you could just put in your bank information. If you had a bank that you wanted to change over, you could change that bank information, and then you could also stop monthly payments for the rest of 2021. If you're not sure how these payments will work out with taxes, or if you think income will go up, you could always stop these payments and get the full lump sum in 2022 when you do your taxes. And if you want to make any of these changes, you have to do it before midnight Eastern Standard Time, August 30th, so that it will reflect changes on the September 15th payment, which is when the next payment will go out. Future enhancements that are planned for the Child Tax Credit Portal is add or remove children in most situations, report a change in marital status, and report a significant change in income. So those are the changes that are supposed to come up. I thought they were going to have everything done by September, but I guess not. Now, in terms of this, stimulus checks and child tax credit payments help prompt calls to expand another credit benefiting workers. So this is that $8,000 adult check, that $4,000 adult check, which is pretty much what it's been known as, also known as the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC. It gives low to moderate income individuals and families a tax break. So basically, this is giving a tax break, an advanced credit, that has a lot of different names to it. So what this is going to do, it was introduced by Representative Gwen Moore, and it's called the Worker Relief and Credit Reform Act, which aims to both expand and modernize the Earned Income Tax Credit. So they're still trying to get this into the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, which we haven't been confirmed that it's in there yet. So basically, for any couples making less than $90,000, you could get an $8,000 credit for married couples, or for individuals, you could get a $4,000 check that way. So these are checks that you could get. They're increasing it so that people get more money out of this. So let me know your thoughts on the adult $4,000, $8,000 credit check. Is this a good idea, bad idea? Would you benefit from this? Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Next, let's talk about what's going on where a lot of these stimulus provisions would live. So House returns to Washington next week to forge ahead with infrastructure bill and budget plan. So the House is expected to return tomorrow, August 23rd, and the chamber aims to hold a vote to advance the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the Democrats' $3.5 trillion spending plan and voting rights legislation, followed by a passage of a budget resolution that unlocks the reconciliation process. So the reason why there's a big holdup is because Nancy Pelosi said that she is not going to pass one without the other. And they're going to happen simultaneously, but then Nancy Pelosi kind of gave in a little bit. She said she will pass the bipartisan or do it simultaneously. It's kind of been flip-flopping over the past week. There's been a lot of battles going on just within the Democratic Party. So here is a video clip from Bernie Sanders regarding the reconciliation process, and then after that, I'll give you the date that Nancy Pelosi was talking about.
You complain about process when you're losing. Now, the Democratic leader has indicated that in a few days he will thrust the Senate into an ultra-partisan showdown.
This looks like a situation when you're in the minority, you like the process, but when you're in the majority, you move on.
Not true.
Some of my Republican friends will say, well, that's such a bad idea. Why aren't you more bipartisan in terms of reconciliation? I would remind my Republican colleagues that they didn't have a problem with reconciliation when they gave almost $2 trillion in tax breaks to the very richest people in this country and the largest corporations.
Senate Republicans passed the largest change to the U.S. tax code in 30 years.
It was pretty clear during this debate we have a very different view of what America ought to look like.
No problem doing that. They didn't have a problem with reconciliation when they tried to throw 30 million people off of the health care they had.
I and many of my colleagues did as we promised and voted to repeal this failed law.
And it's another embarrassing defeat for Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's now tried and failed twice to follow through on a 7-year campaign promise.
So they have used reconciliation, and we will use it. Except we're going to use it to protect ordinary Americans, the children, the elderly, the sick and the poor, rather than just the very wealthy or the pharmaceutical industry.
What are your thoughts on what Bernie Sanders said? Seems that what happens in Congress, the Republicans are in control and the Democrats are in charge. They flip-flop, and they're always complaining about the other one having too much power or more power than the other one. It's always just a big mess in Congress. Next, let's talk about how Nancy Pelosi has set a date. So Nancy Pelosi says House working to pass infrastructure bills by October 1st, which is kind of shocking. October 1st is pretty far away. You would think they would get it done right away. So what's happening here is what Nancy Pelosi said is the House is hard at work to enact both the Build Back Better plan and the bipartisan infrastructure bill before October 1st, when the BIF would go into effect. Any delay to passing budget resolution threatens the timetable for delivering the historic progress and transformative vision that Democrats share. So saying they want to pass it by October 1st, which means they're most likely not going to do their work and go back on vacation, because they're not supposed to get back from their vacation until September 20th. So it looks like they are going to be working through the rest of their vacation to try to get this all done by October 1st, which seems to me a little crazy that it would take that long. You would think, why not just vote on it right now? But I think it's going to be a complicated process. I'll walk you through that as the coming days come out, and probably find out a lot more news tomorrow. I'll let you know what's going on with that. Next, let's go over this article right here. Another $2,000 COVID stimulus check. As Delta surges, so do calls for a fourth payment. So when it comes to stimulus checks, got the first one, second one, third one, and all those, a lot of you have said, are just too little, too late. And there's a lot of different stimulus programs that mainly help families and people with kids, but then a lot of other people are left on the sidelines. That's where a general $2,000 fourth stimulus check could come in handy. People on disability, people on Social Security, people who are retired, who don't have any kids or dependents to benefit off of. But when it comes to a fourth stimulus check, we're still waiting for Congress to make their big move. We still don't know what's in that $3.5 trillion stimulus package. That is where a fourth stimulus check could still be entered in. As we saw with the second and third stimulus check, it was entered in at the last moment, just days before, when there wasn't even mention of a stimulus check. With Delta cases rising, I think we're probably going to see some more momentum, especially now that Congress is getting back. I'll keep you updated on that. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Elizabeth Moore asks, what about people on Social Security disability? The bill did not mention us. So yesterday I spoke about another Social Security increase bill that was introduced into Congress, but it did not mention disability, unfortunately. So yeah, that bill was going to raise it to the federal poverty line of $12,880 a year. So whatever you would get on Social Security, it would make it up to $12,000 for the year. But unfortunately, disability was not covered in that. John Romero asks, explain what you mean by they can do whatever they want with the pandemic funds. Who's they? So in yesterday's video, I mentioned how the states are getting $350 billion in stimulus funds, and the states will distribute that money to counties and cities and towns. And the states, when I said they, I was talking about the states, and government officials could decide how they want to use that money. They could use it to give stimulus checks to teachers. They could use it to give stimulus checks to the residents for more rental assistance, to help out with unemployment. The government officials can use that money however they want. Obviously, they can't pocket it when I say however they want, but they have to use it to help out the residents of whatever the state, city, county, or town. Deborah Clark says, how is it Congress doesn't have a problem finding money for their pay or health care increases? Great question. Yeah, when it comes to their paycheck, they're making $174,000 a year, which is a lot of money, and healthcare increases keep going up as well, especially since a lot of the politicians, a lot of Congress members are getting paid by pharmaceutical industries. They're getting lobbied by medical device lobbyists for the medical device industries. Some treatments are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So a lot of the people in Congress are getting a lot of money from that, and they're getting a sweet $174,000 paycheck to take months of vacation a year. So yeah, I agree. I think Congress definitely needs to step it up. Unfortunately, Congress, they're the ones who are making the rules that they live by. It's not up to the people. So yeah, anyways, that's all the stimulus news I have for you today. To hopefully cheer you up a bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I'll tell the one thing that you should do when you're sick. Eat good food, not junk food, because then that has a lot of oil in it. And also you should drink water, tea, and other things that will make you feel better.
Thank you so much for watching. So yesterday was a fun day. As you could see, I'm a little toasty, a little red. I was with some friends. We went surfing. We all had our families at the beach, and then we went kayaking a little bit in my kayak. So 3 adults were in the kayak, and it was definitely too much weight for the kayak. We actually sunk the kayak a couple times, and we had to drain it because one of the caps was open, and so we kept falling over in the kayak. Yeah, that was an adventure. Anyways, hope you are enjoying your day, and if you want to check out any more of my videos, you could click down here for more stimulus updates, or up here for my other channels, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.